Imagine a tempest of sound, a symphony orchestra exploding with passion and drama. This was the world of Hector Berlioz, a French composer who redefined the Romantic era. Born in 1803, Berlioz was a revolutionary figure, challenging conventions. His music was bold, innovative, and often controversial. He embraced a fluid and expressive style, reflecting the Romantic spirit. From Symphonie Fantastique to his Requiem, Berlioz's music captivates audiences today. His influence is felt in the works of countless composers, from Wagner to Mahler. Join us as we journey through the life of Hector Berlioz, a true musical revolutionary. Hector Berlioz's journey into the world of music was anything but conventional. Born in La Côte-Saint-André into a family of doctors, young Hector was expected to pursue a career in medicine. However, his true passion lay in music. Despite his father's disapproval, Berlioz's fascination with music blossomed. The operas of Gluck and Spontini ignited a fire in his soul. He secretly enrolled in the Conservatoire de Paris, immersing himself in music. The year was 1830, and Hector Berlioz, a young composer brimming with talent and ambition, was about to unleash a musical masterpiece upon the world. Symphonie Fantastique, a groundbreaking work that defied conventions and redefined the possibilities of orchestral music, was born out of a tumultuous period in Berlioz's life, fueled by unrequited love, artistic frustration, and a healthy dose of romantic angst. The symphony, subtitled Episode in the Life of an Artist, tells the semi-autobiographical tale of an artist driven to despair and opium-induced hallucinations by his obsessive love for a woman who does not reciprocate his feelings. Each of the symphony's 5 movements depicts a different stage in the artist's emotional journey. From the passionate longing of the first movement, reveries, passions, to the nightmarish frenzy of the 5th movement, dream of a witch's Sabbath. Symphonie Fantastique was unlike anything the musical world had ever heard before. It was a radical departure from the traditional symphony, breaking free from the constraints of classical form and embracing a more dramatic and emotionally charged approach to musical storytelling. Berlioz's innovative use of orchestration was equally groundbreaking. He expanded the size and scope of the orchestra, employing a vast array of instruments to create a sonic tapestry of unprecedented richness and variety. The symphony's most famous musical idea, the idée fixe, a recurring theme that represents the artist's beloved, weaves its way through all 5 movements, transforming from a tender melody to a haunting obsession as the artist's mental state deteriorates. Symphonie Fantastique was an instant sensation, catapulting Berlioz to fame and cementing his reputation as a musical revolutionary. Its impact on the world of music was profound, influencing generations of composers and paving the way for the development of program music, a genre in which music is used to tell a story or evoke specific images and emotions. Berlioz's innovative use of the orchestra and his willingness to break free from traditional forms inspired composers like Liszt, Wagner and Mahler to explore new sonic possibilities and expand the expressive potential of orchestral music. But Berlioz's influence extended far beyond the realm of music. His writings on music, including his influential treatise on orchestration, shaped the way music was taught, understood and appreciated. He was a passionate advocate for the music of his time, championing the works of Beethoven and introducing audiences to the music of lesser-known composers. As a conductor, Berlioz was renowned for his fiery performances and his ability to breathe life into even the most complex scores. His legacy as a composer, conductor and musical thinker continues to resonate today, inspiring musicians and music lovers alike. His music, with its emotional depth, dramatic flair and innovative spirit, remains as fresh and relevant as ever, a testament to the enduring power of Berlioz's unique musical vision. Hector Berlioz's story begins far from the grand concert halls of Paris, in the quaint French town of La Côte-Saint-André. Born in 1803, young Hector's childhood was a blend of idyllic countryside life and a rigorous education overseen by his physician father. Dr. Louis Berlioz, a man of the Enlightenment, instilled in his son a love for literature, history, and the classics. Latin verses and medical texts filled their home, shaping Hector's sharp intellect from a young age. While music held a place in their lives, his mother played the guitar, and traditional folk tunes filled the air, it was not yet the all-consuming passion it would become. Hector's musical awakening came early. He learned the flute and guitar, his fingers finding their way across the instruments with a natural ease that surprised even his family. His father, however, saw music as a mere pastime, not a fitting pursuit for a young man of ambition. Medicine, the family profession, beckoned. Yet, even as Hector diligently studied anatomy and physiology, his heart yearned for a different kind of resonance, the kind only music could provide. The seeds of rebellion, sown by the stirring melodies of Gluck and the grandeur of Haydn, began to sprout. Hector devoured every musical score he could lay his hands on, his imagination ignited by the power of music to transport and transform. The quiet countryside, once his playground, now seemed to echo with unheard melodies, waiting for him to bring them to life. At 17, a reluctant Hector Berlioz found himself in Paris, dispatched by his father to study medicine. The bustling metropolis overwhelmed him with its energy and artistic fervour. Paris was a symphony, a constant source of inspiration. Theatres and vibrant street music captivated him. Berlioz's heart quickened with each moment at the Paris Conservatoire. His rebellious spirit found its voice amidst the established order. His true education was in the theatres and opera houses. Captivated by Gluck and Spontini, his imagination ignited. Shakespeare, Virgil, and Goethe fueled his artistic vision. Berlioz saw his path in the passionate world of music. The year 1827 marked a turning point in Berlioz's life, both personally and professionally. While struggling to reconcile his musical aspirations with his father's disapproval, he encountered a force that would forever alter the course of his destiny, Harriet Smithson. An Irish actress who had taken the Parisian stage by storm with her captivating performances in Shakespearean tragedies, Smithson became an obsession for the young composer. Berlioz saw in Smithson a kindred spirit, an artist who embodied the same raw passion and emotional depth that he sought to express in his music. Her portrayals of Ophelia and Juliette ignited his imagination, their tragic love stories mirroring the turmoil within his own heart. Yet his adoration remained unrequited. Smithson, at the height of her fame, seemed oblivious to the young composer's affections. This unfulfilled longing, a potent cocktail of adoration, despair, and artistic fervour, poured out of Berlioz and onto the pages of his musical sketches. He began work on a symphony unlike any other, a musical manifestation of his love for Smithson, his artistic frustrations, and his own tumultuous inner world. This work, destined to become his most famous composition, would be known as Symphonie Fantastique. Fueled by a mixture of love and defiance, Berlioz made a bold decision. He abandoned his medical studies entirely, dedicating himself fully to music, much to his father's dismay. Their relationship, already strained, fractured further. Yet even as he faced financial hardship and familial disapproval, Berlioz pressed on, driven by an unshakable belief in his artistic vision and the woman who had unknowingly inspired it. Triumph and turmoil. The premiere of Symphonie Fantastique. The premiere of Symphonie Fantastique in 1830 was nothing short of a seismic event in the Parisian music scene. The audience, accustomed to the structured elegance of classical symphonies, was confronted with a work of unprecedented emotional intensity, a roller coaster ride through the depths of obsession, despair, and delirious fantasy. The symphony's 5 movements, each a vivid tableau depicting a different stage in the artist's opium-fueled descent into madness, unfolded with a raw power that left listeners breathless. The Idée fixe, a recurring musical theme representing the unattainable beloved, wove its way through the symphony like a haunting obsession, transforming from a tender melody to a grotesque caricature as the artist's mental state deteriorated. The response was explosive. Some were scandalized by the symphony's unorthodox structure and its unflinching portrayal of raw emotion. Critics, both captivated and bewildered, struggled to find words to describe this new musical language. Yet, amidst the controversy, there was no denying the symphony's power. Symphonie Fantastique was a triumph, a testament to Berlioz's genius and his willingness to shatter musical conventions. It established him as a leading figure of the Romantic movement, a composer who dared to push the boundaries of music and express the full spectrum of human experience. Beyond the symphony expanding horizons, the success of Symphonie Fantastique marked the beginning of a prolific period for Berlioz. Fueled by a desire to further explore the expressive possibilities of orchestral music, he immersed himself in new projects, each more ambitious and innovative than the last. He composed his first opera, Benvenuto Cellini, a work that, while not an immediate success, showcased his growing mastery of dramatic composition and his ability to translate grand narratives onto the operatic stage. He delved into the world of choral music, composing his monumental Requiem, a work of breathtaking scale and emotional depth that showcased his innovative use of vocal forces and his ability to evoke a sense of awe and grandeur. He also began to gain recognition as a conductor. His fiery performances and insightful interpretations of both his own works and those of other composers, earning him the admiration of audiences and musicians alike. Berlioz's reputation as a musical innovator and a champion of romantic ideals extended beyond the borders of France. He embarked on concert tours throughout Europe, conducting his own works and those of other composers, spreading his influence and inspiring a new generation of musicians. His writings on music, including his influential treatise on orchestration, cemented his reputation as a leading musical thinker of his time. The Grande Messe des Morts. In 1837, Berlioz created the monumental Grande Messe des Morts, known as the Berlioz Requiem. Commissioned to honor soldiers of the July Revolution, it was a canvas for his vast musical ideas. Berlioz envisioned a sonic cathedral of overwhelming power and grandeur. The Requiem's scale was staggering, demanding an enormous orchestra and choir. Over 500 musicians created his vision of the Last Judgment. The 10 movements alternate between intimate reflection and overwhelming force. Thundering timpani and ethereal choral whispers depict the Day of Judgment. Brass fanfares and choral pronouncements evoke divine judgment. Yet Berlioz offers glimpses of hope and consolation. The Lacrimosa movement provides poignant reflection amidst the storm. The premiere was met with awe and apprehension, cementing Berlioz's reputation. Dramatic visions, opera and beyond. While best known for his orchestral and choral works, Berlioz harbored a lifelong fascination with opera. He saw in the operatic form the perfect synthesis of music, drama and spectacle, a canvas upon which to paint his grandest artistic visions. His first foray into the genre, Benvenuto Cellini, premiered in 1838, met with a lukewarm reception. The Parisian audience, accustomed to the conventions of Italian bel canto, found Berlioz's score too bold, too innovative for their taste. Undeterred, Berlioz continued to refine his operatic voice. He completed Les Troyens, a grand opera in 5 acts based on Virgil's epic poem, the Aeneid. This sprawling work, a testament to Berlioz's love for classical literature and his mastery of dramatic composition, tells the story of the fall of Troy and the subsequent journey of Aeneas and his followers. Les Troyens is a work of epic proportions, filled with passionate love affairs, heroic battles and moments of profound tragedy. However, due to its length and unconventional structure, the opera was never performed in its entirety during Berlioz's lifetime. It would not be until the 20th century that Les Troyens received the recognition it deserved, hailed as a masterpiece of French grand opera and a testament to Berlioz's visionary genius. In addition to his operas, Berlioz composed several dramatic cantatas and concert overtures, each showcasing his ability to weave compelling narratives through music. He also continued to conduct extensively throughout Europe, championing the works of Beethoven, Weber, and other composers he admired. Love, Loss and Artistic Triumph, Harold and Italie, and Romeo et Juliette. The 1830s proved to be a decade of profound emotional upheaval for Berlioz, marked by both personal and artistic triumphs. In 1834, he finally met his muse Harriet Smithson face to face. Their initial encounter, far from the idealized fantasy he had constructed, revealed a woman grappling with her own struggles and insecurities. Despite this, Berlioz, ever the romantic, pursued Smithson relentlessly. They eventually married, but their union, plagued by financial strain, professional jealousies, and Berlioz's own volatile temperament, quickly deteriorated. Out of this tumultuous period emerged Harold en Italie, a symphony inspired by Byron's epic poem, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. Berlioz, who identified strongly with the poem's themes of romantic longing and world-weariness, channeled his own emotional turmoil into the score. Harold en Italie is a unique work in the symphonic repertoire, featuring a prominent solo viola part that represents the brooding figure of Harold. The viola, with its melancholic tone and introspective character, became the perfect vehicle for Berlioz to express his own emotional landscape. The symphony's 4 movements take the listener on a journey through the Italian countryside, from the pastoral beauty of the first movement to the wild revelry of the final Orgie de Brigands. This period also saw Berlioz grappling with the themes of love and loss on a grand scale in his Romeo et Juliette, a dramatic symphony inspired by Shakespeare's tragic play. The literary muse Berlioz as music critic and author. Berlioz's talents extended far beyond the realm of musical composition. He was a gifted writer, his prose as vibrant and engaging as his musical scores. He became a respected music critic, his reviews and essays appearing in leading Parisian journals. His writings, often witty and insightful, provided a unique glimpse into the musical world of 19th century Paris. Berlioz's pen dripped with equal parts venom and adoration. He could be scathing in his critiques of composers he deemed unworthy, yet effusive in his praise for those he admired, such as Beethoven and Weber. His writings on music, collected in his memoirs and evenings in the orchestra, remain essential reading for anyone seeking to understand the musical landscape of the Romantic era. He possessed a keen intellect and a sharp wit, and his writing reflected his passionate engagement with the musical world around him. His autobiography, Memoirs, published posthumously in 1870, provides a fascinating and often humorous account of his life and career, offering valuable insights into his creative process and his relationships with other leading figures of the Romantic era. Beyond music criticism, Berlioz also penned short stories, novellas, and libretti for his own operas, demonstrating his versatility as a writer and his deep understanding of narrative structure and dramatic pacing. A Restless Spirit, Travels and Tribulations. Despite his growing fame and recognition as a composer, Berlioz remained a restless and often dissatisfied soul. He craved the adulation of the Parisian public, yet chafed against the constraints of the French musical establishment. He longed for recognition as an opera composer, yet his works in the genre often met with indifference or outright hostility. To escape the frustrations of Paris, Berlioz embarked on numerous concert tours throughout Europe, conducting his own works and those of other composers. His travels took him to Germany, Russia, England, and even as far afield as Austria and Hungary, where his music was met with enthusiastic receptions. These tours, while artistically rewarding, took a toll on Berlioz's health and personal life. His marriage to Harriet Smithson continued to deteriorate, and he suffered from bouts of depression and ill health. He found solace in his work, pouring his energy into new compositions and conducting engagements. Throughout his travels, Berlioz encountered and befriended some of the leading musical figures of his day, including Mendelssohn, Schumann, and Liszt. These encounters provided him with both artistic stimulation and much-needed companionship during a time of personal and professional upheaval. The Berlioz sound orchestration as storytelling. Berlioz saw the orchestra as a living entity. He coaxed out colours and textures never heard before. His scores were sonic landscapes, transporting listeners to another world. This was orchestration as high art, storytelling in its own right. He unleashed the full power of brass. The tuba mirum from his Requiem is a sonic cataclysm. Yet he used brass with exquisite delicacy in Romeo et Juliette. His treatise on instrumentation and orchestration is still studied today. The legacy of Symphonie Fantastique program music and beyond. Symphonie Fantastique was a declaration of independence. Berlioz ushered in a new era of program music. Instrumental works could now tell stories and evoke specific characters. Its themes captured the spirit of the Romantic era. Painters, poets, and novelists found inspiration in its imagery. Berlioz expanded the emotional possibilities of music. He showed that symphonies could be visceral and unsettling. Liszt, Wagner, and Strauss owed a debt to Berlioz's vision. Echoes of Berlioz. Influences on Wagner, Liszt, and Mahler. Berlioz's influence on subsequent generations of composers can hardly be overstated. He was a musical trailblazer, and his innovations left an indelible mark on Western music. Wagner acknowledged Berlioz's influence, praising his orchestration and vision. Liszt found inspiration in Berlioz's program music, pioneering symphonic poems. Mahler's symphonies, with their vast orchestral forces, continue Berlioz's legacy. A prophet without honor? Berlioz's reception in France and abroad. Despite his undeniable genius and his profound influence on subsequent generations of composers, Berlioz's career was marked by a curious paradox. While he achieved considerable fame and recognition during his lifetime, he often felt misunderstood and underappreciated, particularly in his native France. The Parisian musical establishment, steeped in tradition and wary of innovation, often viewed Berlioz's music with suspicion, finding it too bold, too unconventional for their tastes. His operas, in particular, faced an uphill battle for acceptance, often encountering resistance from conservative audiences and critics who clung to the familiar conventions of Italian bel canto. Ironically, Berlioz found greater acceptance and appreciation for his music outside of France. His concert tours throughout Europe, particularly to Germany, Russia and England, were met with enthusiastic receptions. Audiences in these countries, perhaps less bound by tradition and more open to new musical ideas, embraced Berlioz's innovative spirit and his willingness to push the boundaries of orchestral and choral music. He became a revered figure in these countries, hailed as a visionary composer who had expanded the expressive possibilities of music. This disparity in reception highlights the often complex relationship between artists and their time. Berlioz, like many artistic pioneers, was a composer ahead of his time, his ideas too radical, too challenging for some of his contemporaries to fully grasp. It would take time for the true significance of his work to be recognized, for his influence to be fully felt in the generations of composers who followed. The enduring flame, Berlioz's place in the modern musical landscape, Hector Berlioz, the fiery romantic, remains a towering figure in Western music. His music, once radical, is now integral to the classical canon. Walk into any concert hall today and you'll find Berlioz's name alongside Beethoven and Brahms. His symphonies continue to electrify audiences. His operas, once neglected, are now frequently staged. His treatise on instrumentation remains a guide for composers. Berlioz's legacy extends beyond the concert hall. His spirit of innovation inspires composers today. His music speaks to us across the centuries. Berlioz reminds us of the transformative power of art. The price of innovation. Critical scorn and public indifference. Innovation is rarely met with open arms. Berlioz's bold experiments were often met with scorn. Critics deemed his music too loud and chaotic. The public found his music too challenging. This lack of acclaim wounded Berlioz deeply. He craved recognition for his originality. A prophet without honour in his own land, Berlioz and the French musical establishment. Berlioz was an outsider, a rebel. He challenged traditions and mocked conservative tastes. The Conservatoire was both a frustration and inspiration. He entered the Prix de Rome competition 5 times and was denied victory. Each rejection was a blow to his hopes. This battle fueled Berlioz's fire. He would not be silenced or ignored. Financial struggles and personal tragedies, the composer's cross to bear. Berlioz faced financial struggles and personal tragedies. His ambitious musical visions required vast resources. Commissions were few for his unconventional music. He relied on concert tours and journalism. His marriage to Harriet Smithson crumbled. He lost his beloved son, Louis. These setbacks took a toll on his spirit. Despite obstacles, Berlioz remained true to his vision. He refused to compromise his music. He wrote what he believed in, even if it alienated audiences. This commitment makes Berlioz compelling. He was a musical maverick. True art requires risk and boundary pushing. His uncompromising spirit is evident in his music. Berlioz's later years were marked by resignation and renewed vigour. He accepted he wouldn't achieve widespread acclaim in France. Critics continued to snipe and his operas struggled. He found solace in his admirers' support. He continued to compose and travel. He became a respected elder statesman. Gradually, the establishment recognised his significance. His music found its way onto concert programmes. Hector Berlioz lived a dramatic and unconventional life. He defied expectations and broke free from tradition. He faced critical scorn and public indifference, yet he remained true to his vision. He expanded the language of music. His legacy is one of creative struggle and conviction. Berlioz's music still startles and provokes. Berlioz reimagined the modern symphony orchestra. He expanded its size and explored each instrument's voice. He unleashed the brass section's power. He discovered new possibilities in woodwinds. He redefined the strings' role. The orchestra became a character unto itself. His treatise on instrumentation was a manifesto for new orchestral writing. Berlioz embodied the spirit of Romanticism. His music rejected rigid structures. He embraced subjectivity and personal experiences. Symphonie Fantastique is his iconic work. It takes listeners on a hallucinatory journey. Berlioz's influence on Romantic composers is undeniable. He showed that music could express profound human experiences. Berlioz was more than a composer. He was a gifted writer and critic. His music criticism was feared and admired. His memoirs offer a glimpse into his life. He was a complex and contradictory figure. He championed literature and its influence on his music. He believed music could elevate and inspire. Hector Berlioz's music is not a museum piece to be dusted off and admired from a distance. It is a living, breathing force that continues to resonate with audiences today. His symphonies, with their visceral power and emotional intensity, still have the ability to electrify concert halls. His operas, once considered too radical or unwieldy, are now being staged with increasing frequency, their dramatic richness and musical inventiveness finally receiving their due. In an age often defined by irony, cynicism and a fear of genuine emotion, Berlioz's music offers a refreshing antidote. He reminds us that music can be a powerful force for good, that it can move us, challenge us and connect us to something larger than ourselves. He invites us to embrace passion, to revel in the beauty of sound, and to allow ourselves to be swept away by the sheer audacity of his musical vision. So, the next time you have the opportunity to experience Berlioz's music, whether in a grand concert hall or through the intimacy of headphones, say yes to the invitation. Open yourself to the possibility of being surprised, challenged, and ultimately transformed by the genius of this musical revolution. For in the world of Hector Berlioz, the extraordinary is always within reach.